75 years. That's how long the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, has been shaping global stability. From the absolute rubble of post-war Europe to the incredibly complex, high-tech security landscape we live in today, it is arguably the most powerful military alliance in modern history. In this explainer, we are going to unpack that entire journey. We'll track NATO from its birth in 1949 all the way to its current strategic footing and look at exactly where it's headed next.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover the birth and history of NATO, dive into Article 5 and its core values, and look at alliance expansion. Then we'll hit the recent steps regarding Ukraine, future defense spending goals, and finally, NATO's destination heading into 2025.
Section 1. Birth and History of NATO. Rising from the ashes of World War II. Okay, let's dive right into this. Picture 1945. The war is over, but true peace? It was pretty elusive. The former Allied powers almost immediately split into two distinct factions. You had the United States, Great Britain, and France backing democratic governments, while the Soviet Union started setting up command economies in Eastern Europe to build out a loyal buffer zone. By the time we hit the intense pressure of the 1948 Berlin airlift, Western nations realized they desperately needed a collective security pact. And that culminated on April 4, 1949, with 12 founding nations coming together to sign the Washington Treaty.
Now, what's really interesting about this map is the sheer geographical scale of the pressure those founding nations were dealing with. Between 1946 and 1953, countries like France and Italy were experiencing severe political and economic instability. They were incredibly vulnerable. So creating a unified Western defense buffer wasn't just some nice political ideal. It was literally a strategic necessity to stabilize the continent and prevent any further expansion of influence. But here's the thing, a political treaty is really just a piece of paper unless you have a military structure to actually back it up. By December 1950, this new alliance got some serious teeth. They appointed General Dwight D. Eisenhower as the very first Supreme Allied Commander Europe. That single move transformed NATO from a diplomatic handshake into a concrete, functioning military reality.
Section 2. Article 5 and Core Values. The Ultimate Security Guarantee. So, the crucial point of the whole Washington Treaty is right here, in Article 5. It states that an armed attack against one or more members in Europe or North America shall be considered an attack against them all. It's the ultimate security guarantee, a collective self-defense pact officially recognized by the UN Charter. Basically, any adversary knows that if you attack a single member state, you are bringing the full weight of the entire alliance right to your doorstep. Now, here is a historical fact that usually surprises people. Given all the constant, high-stakes tension of the Cold War, you'd probably think Article 5 was constantly being triggered, right? Actually, it has only been invoked exactly once in NATO's entire history. And no, it wasn't to protect Europe from a Soviet invasion. It was actually invoked by European allies to show solidarity and provide support for the United States right after the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks.
Section 3, Alliance Expansion and New Members. The open door policy.
32. That is the magic number today. NATO has gone through 9 different rounds of enlargement since it started. What began as this relatively exclusive club of 12 founders spanning the Atlantic has organically grown to 32 active members. Over the decades, it has just kept expanding eastward and northward, building out a massive, much broader shield of security. And this brilliantly illustrates how fast strategic calculations can change. Let's look at the 2 newest members, Finland and Sweden. For decades, both of these nations maintained really strict policies of military non-alignment, but the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine completely flipped the script. Public support for joining NATO skyrocketed almost overnight. Finland officially joined in 2023, bringing a massive 1,340-kilometer border with Russia, 900,000 trained reserves, and advanced F-35 fighter jets. Sweden followed right after, in 2024, securing the strategically crucial Gotland Island in the Baltic Sea and adding some highly capable submarines to the mix. It's a massive, massive boost to NATO's northern flank.
Section 4. Recent steps in Ukraine. Modern geopolitical shifts.
We are also seeing a major changing of the guard at the very top. After an extraordinary decade leading the alliance through some incredibly testing times, Jens Stoltenberg has stepped down. The alliance is now officially transitioning into a new era with Mark Rutte taking the helm as the new Secretary General. It's now his job to guide this 32-member coalition through some extremely unpredictable global waters. And a huge part of that guidance involves Ukraine.
Now, Ukraine is a partner, not a full member covered by Article 5 yet, but NATO's support is incredibly structured and institutionalized. At the 2024 Washington Summit, they launched some major initiatives. First is NSAT. Based in Germany with about 700 personnel, they're coordinating a baseline pledge of 40 billion euros for military equipment and training. Then you have JTEC in Poland, which is a joint center designed to analyze battlefield lessons and improve interoperability. Through these steps, allies have made it clear they are supporting Ukraine on what they call an irreversible path to full NATO membership. It's about providing robust, long-term assistance without NATO itself becoming a direct party to the conflict.
Section 5. Future Goals and Defense Spending. The Cost of Security.
Let's move to the economics and see how this all builds, because security absolutely comes with a price tag. For years, the big conversation was just trying to get every member to spend a minimum of 2% of their GDP on defense. But the reality of modern security, stuff like cyber defense, infrastructure resilience, and advanced tech, means 2% is honestly just the floor now. The conversation is actively shifting toward a highly ambitious 5% commitment target. So why does this matter to you? Well, building up the European pillar of NATO requires a massive financial investment. It's absolutely crucial if European allies want to conduct demanding missions and ultimately reduce their overall security reliance on the United States.
Section 6. NATO's Future Destination. Looking ahead to 2025.
So, if you're taking notes, here are the absolutely crucial takeaways from this explainer. The alliance is bigger and more unified than ever with its 32nd member, Sweden. It's operating under the fresh leadership of Secretary General Mark Rutte. They are eyeing a much steeper financial commitment with that 5% GDP defense target. And all of these dynamic pieces are going to converge on the global stage at the next major NATO summit in The Hague, Netherlands in June of 2025.
Which brings us to one final monumental question. NATO was built in 1949 for a world that was divided by physical walls and traditional tank armies. But as global leaders pack their bags for the 2025 Hague Summit, how will this 75-year-old alliance actually adapt? With a rapid rise of cyber warfare, massive global supply chain threats, and totally shifting political landscapes, can an alliance born from the ashes of the 20th century really maintain global stability in the highly unpredictable decades of the 21st? Thank you for watching this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next one.